In this video, I'm going to run through some of the more creative activities I've been using for Google Classroom during lockdown. Starting off with virtual tours. Now, this is perfect for geography, but I'm sure it could work for different subjects. So for GCSE geography, my year 9s were looking at Shoreditch. And when I approached this lesson, I thought actually it'd be great if they could go and have a walk around Shoreditch and explore it themselves. So what I did was I created a virtual tour of YouTube videos and Google galleries and showing the different areas of Shoreditch. Okay, so over 2 lessons, the first 45 minutes lesson was just them exploring and finding out about this area. So I included a load of links to loads of different places around the area, and I wanted them to then create a presentation in the following lesson from what they've learned. Okay, so for instance, I was very specific about why they were doing this. So the aim of these lessons about Shoreditch was to see how an old area of London has changed, how there's a cultural mix and cultural diversity in the area as well, and then opportunities for recreation and entertainment. So I gave them the context of why they were looking at this area. Then I gave them links to loads of different things. So the location, how the area has changed from factories into the modern industries. And then I wanted them to look at specific kind of features of the area. So they had a good look at all the street art. And there were some great links to some online galleries of the street art around Shoreditch. Then they could look at different kind of activities you could do around the area. So going to Box Park or going to a really amazing hot chocolate cafe, looking at Spitalfields Market, the Serial Killer Cafe and Silicon Roundabout, and why that's such an important area for business around Shoreditch. So my pupils really enjoyed this task. It was a bit lower stakes. For 45 minutes they were just exploring and finding out of the place, and I got some really positive feedback from a lot of the pupils saying it was really kind of interesting and they felt really engaged by this activity. Then the next lesson was to create a presentation about everything that they could do there, and if myself or they were going to go in the future, where they would go and why they would go there. Another really creative task that I set my year 7s was to act as a travel agent. So this was again year 7 geography, but this could apply to loads of different types of subjects. So we were looking at ecosystems. So I wanted them to think about planning a trip to either an Arctic tundra or a tropical rainforest or a hot desert. And I wanted them to fully research this. I provided them with a few links to some really good websites and provide some very specific information. So a general idea of the cost, specific locations or landmarks that they wanted to go to. As it is geography, I wanted them to show me lots of maps of the area. As we've been looking at wildlife and plant life, I wanted them to, present to me the type of wildlife and plant life you would be expecting to see in that area. I wanted specific information about the tour companies and what they would actually provide. So the price, what type of accommodation they might stay in, the food they might be served, and how they're going to get around the area. Again, lots of really positive feedback from some of my pupils. They really enjoyed actually planning that trip. And it really inspired me to want to go visit these places as well. So I really enjoyed that ecosystem task. Now, another thing I've always done whenever I've been teaching is making sure I give my pupils time to organise their revision. Okay, so I always dedicate some lesson time for them to try out new things and try and actually organise a revision and structure it and practice that skill before moving on to like their year 10 or year 11 exams. So recently my year 10s have been working on coasts, and I asked them to create their own kind of revision document. And again, this was something that majority of the pupils were really good at already, but then some other pupils needed to develop that skill and really develop what is going to work best for them in the future. So I wanted them to go back through their work. That was the first task, and make sure they completed everything from Google Classroom. Then I wanted them to produce some kind of document, a list, some kind of poster, revision cards, anything that they thought would be useful for them. Organise any kind of resources, so specific links to BBC Bitesize or Time for Geography or YouTube or any of those things that they would find useful when they come back to it in a year's time. I wanted them to actually take the time to go over some of the topics as well, things they might feel fairly weak at, and they wanted to go over again. And all I asked for them was to present some kind of evidence that they've actually done this. Now, when they were revising, I did say that they would be doing a quiz on this in the future. So that's a way of me assessing and understanding whether they've got the information. But again, just them going through the process of practicing, revising, actually producing something, creating some kind of revision document, I think is a really valuable skill. And a lot of them, I know, are going to use these resources when they come back to this topic next year. Now, another creative activity I've been doing with my year 7s was to create some kind of campaigns or charity posters about saving areas and looking after the environment. So a recent task was to write a letter to the Foreign Secretary about contributing foreign aid to certain projects. So I wanted them to refer back to this information and actually write a letter convincing the Foreign Secretary of contributing aid to this project. The lesson structure was I gave them 10 or 15 minutes to do the research, watch the YouTube video, and then 25 to 30 minutes to actually write this letter and submit it. Now, I did give them a template and give them some structure of what they should actually, how they should be presenting the work. And then it's up to them to actually do the research and find out the importance of the project. And the last activity I've been using with my classes is really trying to reduce the pressure on doing any kind of quizzes or assessments. So really to find out if the pupils have been understanding the information, I've been putting in multiple choice quizzes, one lesson, and then the next lesson I'm adding on an extended exam answer. And those two activities should give me a really good idea of the progress of the pupils and how they're understanding the information. Again, with like year 9s or 10s, it's really good practice to practice their exam technique. And I think a lot of them have found it valuable to keep those skills sharp during this time and not just getting to this cycle of just looking at information and researching, but also remembering how to actually apply the information. That's been my main approach to it. So those are just 5 activities that I've been doing on Google Classroom. I reflected on a lot of my teaching recently, thinking I need to try and vary the type of tasks and activities for my classes, as I think it would really help with motivating the pupils. If you've got any other ideas, it'd be great to hear them either in the comments on this video or sending me a tweet. But it'd be really good to just share some good ideas on this topic. Thanks for watching.